"Don't embarrass me at my cousin's wedding," she ordered, then tried to sit me at a different table so her male best friend could take my spot. I left quietly. By the time I reached my car, she'd left 6 voicemails, each one more frantic, sobbing that she didn't mean it like that and begging me to please just talk. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. Hey Reddit, I need to get this off my chest. It's been about 8 months now, and looking back, it's almost funny how blind I was. But at the time, it cut deep. I'm Daniel, 34, work as a project manager for a commercial construction company here in Charlotte, and I've always been the steady, reliable guy in relationships. My ex-girlfriend Chelsea, 29, works in marketing. We were together for 3 years, living in a nice apartment downtown, and I honestly thought we were building towards something permanent. From day one, I was all in. Chelsea had some serious financial struggles when we started dating. Student loans, credit card debt, the usual stuff that hits people in their late 20s. I didn't hesitate to step up. I covered most of our $2,400 monthly rent for about 18 months straight, helped her get her car payments current when she was 3 months behind, even turned down a promotion that would have required traveling because she said she needed my emotional support. Made sense to me. That's what you do for someone you love, right? Looking back, I sacrificed plenty without complaint. Last summer, my crew buddies planned this epic fishing trip to the Outer Banks, something we'd talked about for months, booked the charter boat and everything. I bailed last minute to help Chelsea move her stuff when her roommate situation fell through unexpectedly. No big deal, I told myself. There'd be other trips. We talked about the future constantly. Marriage, maybe kids, buying a house. I'd already saved up about $30K for a down payment on a place in one of Charlotte's nicer suburbs. Chelsea always said she appreciated my stability and reliability. "You're my rock, Danny," she'd say after rough days at her marketing firm. But looking back, there were red flags I chose to ignore. She had this male best friend, Todd, who'd been in her life since their college days at UNC. Real estate agent, always posting about his latest deals on LinkedIn. Driving around in that silver Audi A4 he'd lease upgraded every 2 years. Chelsea swore their relationship was completely platonic, but she'd light up whenever he called, and they'd hang out one-on-one, way more than I was comfortable with. When I'd bring it up gently, she'd brush it off with that dismissive wave. "You're being paranoid, Danny. Todd's like a brother to me. We've been friends forever." The comparison started subtly, but escalated gradually over our second year together. Chelsea would make offhand comments that stung, more than I wanted to admit. "Todd's so good with people. He closed 3 deals this week, and his commission was more than your monthly salary," she'd say after I'd had a particularly quiet day managing subcontractors. Or, "Why can't you be more outgoing like Todd? He knows how to work a room at these networking events." I'd swallow it, thinking I was just being insecure, but each comment chipped away at my confidence. Then came her social media posts that really got under my skin. Pictures of her and Todd at trendy coffee shops downtown, fancy networking events at the Omni Hotel, even weekend trips to Asheville that I somehow wasn't invited to. The captions killed me. "Best times with my favorite adventure buddy," with that glowing star emoji, or "Nothing beats good company and great conversations," with Todd tagged prominently. Meanwhile, I'm the one paying for half her adventures and covering most of our living expenses, but I barely got a mention on her Instagram. Her friends would see those posts and probably wonder who the hell I was. The real breaking point was her cousin's wedding. Big family affair at this gorgeous venue in Asheville, about 2.5 hours from Charlotte. The place overlooked the Blue Ridge Mountains with this stunning outdoor ceremony space and a reception hall that looked like something out of Southern Living magazine. String lights everywhere, vintage chandeliers, the works. Chelsea was buzzing about it for weeks leading up to the event. She was close to her cousin Jen, and it was clearly a chance to show off for her extended family, who'd be flying in from all over the country. I was actually excited too. I'd met her parents Carlos and Maria several times at family barbecues and holiday gatherings, and they seemed to genuinely like me. Carlos would always ask about my construction projects, and seemed impressed that I was managing teams on major commercial builds around Charlotte. I rented a sharp navy suit from Men's Warehouse, got the couple a nice $200 gift from their registry, even spent a few evenings practicing dance moves on YouTube because Chelsea loved dancing, and I wanted to not embarrass myself. But as the wedding day approached, Chelsea started acting strange. She'd snap at little things that never bothered her before, like when I suggested what tie to wear with my suit. Not that one, Danny. It's too conservative looking. This is going to be an elegant affair. She'd spend hours on her phone, constantly checking social media and texting, getting increasingly anxious about every detail. And of course, Todd was coming to the wedding. Obviously he's invited, she explained when I asked about the guest list. He's practically family at this point. My cousin Jen loves him. Fine, whatever. I could handle one night with the guy. I'd been doing it for 3 years already. The morning of the wedding, we're getting ready in our hotel room, and she's completely glued to her phone, giggling at messages every few minutes. I catch glimpses over her shoulder. It's Todd sending memes about wedding crashers, jokes about catching the bouquet. Typical guy humor that she's eating up. I let it slide and focus on getting ready. We arrive at the venue, and the ceremony is absolutely beautiful. Chelsea looks stunning in this emerald dress that brings out her eyes, holding my hand during the vows, smiling and laughing at the right moments. I'm thinking, this is it. We're solid, her family loves me. Maybe I'll start ring shopping seriously when we get back to Charlotte. But after the ceremony, during cocktail hour, everything changed. The reception area was buzzing with guests mingling around high-top tables, sipping signature cocktails and taking photos with the mountain backdrop. I was chatting with some of Chelsea's relatives, making small talk about the beautiful venue and the weather, when she pulls me aside behind one of those decorative columns. Her whole demeanor shifts completely. Suddenly she's talking to me like I'm some kind of liability she needs to manage. "Listen, Danny," she says, glancing around to make sure none of her family members can overhear us. "Don't embarrass me tonight, okay? This is huge for my family. Todd's great at mingling. He knows how to charm everyone and tell interesting stories. Just try to blend in and don't monopolize conversations with people." I blink hard, feeling this knot forming in my stomach. "What do you mean embarrass you? I'm here to support you and celebrate with your family." She rolls her eyes, this dismissive look creeping across her face that I'd been seeing more often lately. "You know what I mean, Danny. Your construction stories are kinda boring for this crowd. These are successful people, doctors, lawyers, business owners. Todd's got these amazing real estate anecdotes that people actually want to hear. Just let him take the lead if we're talking to my aunts and uncles, okay?" Her words hit me like a physical blow. Here I am, the guy who's been covering her bills for a year and a half, supporting her career moves, listening to her vent about office drama and difficult clients for 3 solid years. And now I'm the embarrassment. The boring guy who needs to stay quiet so her charming friend can shine. But I nod anyway, biting my tongue hard enough to taste blood. "Sure, Chelsea, whatever makes you happy." The reception starts and we're seated at table number 1, the family table with prime real estate right next to the dance floor. I'm making polite conversation with her mom, Maria, about her garden, and asking Carlos about his latest home improvement projects when Chelsea suddenly waves me over urgently from across the table. Todd's standing there looking sharp in his expensive charcoal suit, flashing that practice salesman grin that probably closes deals. "Danny, babe," Chelsea says, her voice low but firm enough that her siblings can probably hear. "There's been a seating mix-up. Todd's supposed to be stuck way back at table 12 with some random cousins. Can you switch places with him? He really fits better here with my immediate family. You won't mind, right? It's just for dinner and speeches." I'm completely stunned. The family table is packed with her parents, her brother and sister-in-law, her favorite aunt and uncle from Florida, plus her grandparents who flew in from Texas. Switching means I'm getting demoted to sit with complete strangers while Todd plays the charming boyfriend substitute at the most important table. And it's completely public. Her entire family would notice the swap and draw their own conclusions. "Chelsea, that's our table. I'm your boyfriend of 3 years. Why does Todd need to be here instead of me?" She sighs dramatically, exasperated like I'm being completely unreasonable about a simple request. "Come on, don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Todd's naturally outgoing. He'll keep the conversation entertaining and lively. You're more on the introverted side, which is fine, but this isn't about you tonight. Plus, he's been going through a really rough breakup recently with that girl from his office. He could really use some family atmosphere and support." The logic is so twisted it makes my head spin. I'm her committed partner of 3 years, but Todd fits better with her family because he's more entertaining. And now she's guilt-tripping me with his relationship problems, like I should sacrifice my rightful place to provide therapy for her friend's dating issues. Seriously, Danny, she presses, crossing her arms and lowering her voice to that tone she uses when she thinks I'm being difficult. Don't be selfish about this. This is Jennifer's wedding day. Todd's practically family at this point. He's been to every major holiday and celebration. You'll survive sitting at another table for a couple of hours. I can feel her family members glancing over curiously, trying to figure out what we're discussing in hushed tones. Her brother Miguel looks confused, probably wondering why we're having an intense conversation during cocktail hour. Todd just stands there with this subtle, smug smile, like he already knows he's won this particular battle and is just waiting for me to officially surrender. The whole situation crystallizes in that moment. 3 years of gradually being made to feel like the backup plan. 3 years of financial support and emotional availability, only to be publicly demoted at a family wedding so her male best friend can play my role. The casual way she's dismissing my feelings. The entitled assumption that I'll just go along with whatever she decides. If that's how you really feel about this, I say calmly, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building inside my chest, then enjoy the rest of your night. I turn and walk away, weaving through the cocktail tables toward the exit without looking back. No dramatic speech, no begging for reconsideration, just complete detachment. Some of her relatives call after me. "Danny, where are you going?" But I don't stop or explain. By the time I reach the parking lot, my phone is already buzzing with incoming calls that I ignore completely. I just start my truck and drive home, beginning that long 2.5-hour journey back to Charlotte. The highway blurred under the streetlights as I replayed the entire conversation. The casual way she'd dismissed me, like I was some interchangeable accessory she could rearrange for better aesthetics. The way her eyes had lit up when she looked at Todd, like he was the prize and I was just the reliable fallback option. Why had I put up with the gradual erosion for so long? The constant comparisons, the subtle digs about my personality and career, the way she'd make plans with him first and loop me in as an afterthought. I'd convinced myself it was just my own insecurity talking, that real commitment meant overlooking the small irritations and focusing on the bigger picture. But this wasn't small. This was her choosing to humiliate me in front of her entire family at a wedding, a place where vows and loyalty are supposed to mean something. This was her making it crystal clear that I would always be secondary to whatever Todd brought to the table. By the time I pulled into our apartment complex parking lot, my phone had completely blown up. The voicemail started apologetic, but quickly escalated into something desperate and ugly. I sat in my truck with the engine still running and listened to them one by one, each message revealing more about who Chelsea really was underneath all those sweet words about me being her rock. First voicemail, still trying to play it cool. "Danny, what the hell? You just left without saying anything to anyone. I didn't mean it like that. Call me back so we can talk about this like adults." Second one, getting irritated. "Okay, fine, be dramatic if you want, but you're completely ruining the night for me. My whole family is asking where you went and I look like an idiot. This is embarrassing." Third, her voice starting to crack. "Look, I get that you're upset, but it really wasn't a big deal. Todd's sitting here now and everything's fine. Just pick up your phone and talk to me." Fourth, more urgent with reception music fading in the background. "Danny, please. I'm sorry if it came out wrong. You know I love you and appreciate everything you do. Don't do this to us. Come back or at least text me that you're okay." Fifth, full desperation mode. "Why are you ignoring me? This really hurts. I didn't think you'd overreact like this. My cousin's asking what happened and I don't know what to tell her. Please just call me back." Sixth, complete breakdown. "Danny, I'm freaking out. What if you got in an accident on the drive home? I need to know you're safe. I messed up, okay? I see that now. Please just talk to me." The progression from annoyed to apologetic to desperate was telling, but listening to them made something click into place for me. She wasn't sorry for hurting me or making me feel worthless. She was sorry that her perfect night wasn't going according to plan, that her image was cracking in front of people who mattered to her socially. Not once did she actually acknowledge how degrading it felt to be publicly demoted. Not once did she seem to understand why a man might have a problem with being replaced by another guy at his girlfriend's family table. It was all about her embarrassment, her ruined evening, her family's questions. I deleted every single message, turned off my phone completely, and went upstairs to pack a bag with essentials. Clothes for a few days, laptop, toiletries, important documents. I wasn't going to be there when she came home drunk and dramatic from the reception. I checked into a Hampton Inn near the airport and spent the night thinking clearly for the first time in months. The next morning, I drove back to our apartment while she was probably still sleeping off her hangover. I unblocked her long enough to send one simple text. "We're done. I'll move my stuff out this week while you're at work. Don't contact me." Then blocked her number again permanently. I called in sick to work, but really used that Monday to reflect on what the hell I'd been doing with my life for 3 years. Hit the gym for the first time in months, something I'd completely neglected because Chelsea always wanted couple time when I wasn't working. Pushed through a brutal workout, sweat pouring, mind finally clearing. Why had I sacrificed so much of myself? The fishing trips I'd skipped with my crew, the promotion I'd turned down, the way I'd gradually dimmed my own personality to let her shine brighter. It wasn't love. It was me being a doormat and calling it commitment. Over the next week, I methodically moved my belongings out while she was at her marketing firm, changed the locks on what was now fully my apartment. The lease had always been in my name anyway, since I'd been the financially stable one from day one. I didn't post anything about it on social media, didn't vent to mutual friends about what happened, just quietly detached myself from her world completely. Work became my primary focus. I threw myself into a major commercial project downtown. Even volunteered for overtime shifts that I'd been avoiding. Started hiking solo on weekends at Crowder's Mountain, something I'd loved before Chelsea but had completely abandoned. The anger and hurt gradually faded into this weird clarity. Her betrayal was actually a gift. It had freed me from a relationship where I was never really the priority. Through the grapevine, I started hearing bits and pieces about the aftermath. My buddy Corey, who knew some of Chelsea's coworkers, told me she'd partied hard the rest of that wedding night, dancing with Todd until last call, posting Instagram stories like nothing had happened. Best night ever, with Todd tagged prominently in every single photo. But apparently even then, cracks were showing. Corey said that Todd got increasingly handsy on the dance floor as the night went on. And even Chelsea's cousin Jen had to pull her aside at one point to ask if she was okay with how he was behaving. The guy was treating her like his date instead of just a friend, putting his hands all over her in front of her conservative extended family. Then the real karma started rolling in. Slow at first, like storm clouds building on the horizon. About 2 weeks after the wedding, Corey gave me an update that made everything click into place. Todd and Chelsea had apparently had a massive blowout fight that ended with him revealing exactly what he really thought about their friendship. Turns out Todd hadn't just been her platonic best friend all these years. He'd been strategically using their relationship as a networking opportunity. And the wedding was his biggest score yet. He'd worked that reception like a sales convention, collecting business cards from Chelsea's successful relatives, setting up meetings with her uncle, who owns several commercial properties, even getting invited to her grandfather's golf club in Texas. When Chelsea finally realized Todd had been using her for business connections and pushed for something more romantic between them, he completely lost it on her. During their fight, he apparently told her exactly what he thought. "You're fun for parties and networking, but way too much drama for anything serious. Stick with your boring boyfriend if you want actual stability." The irony was absolutely perfect. She'd thrown away a 3-year relationship for a guy who saw her as nothing more than a social media prop and business opportunity. Chelsea spiraled hard after that reality check. She started calling out sick from her marketing job frequently, completely tanking a major campaign for one of their biggest clients. Her performance reviews went from solid to terrible almost overnight. Her boss eventually put her on formal probation. And when she couldn't get her act together, they let her go entirely. Last I heard through Corey, she'd had to take some entry-level social media coordinator position that paid about half what she'd been making. Her family situation got ugly too. Apparently her parents Carlos and Maria were furious when they found out what had really happened at the wedding. Maria, who'd always been sweet to me at family gatherings, gave Chelsea absolute hell according to mutual friends. "How could you treat Danny like that, Mia? He was good to you, helped you when you had nothing. That boy would have married you." Even her cousin Jen, the bride whose perfect day Chelsea had been so worried about, ended up unfollowing her on Instagram after the family drama spilled over into group chats and family phone calls. The extended family took sides, and most of them weren't on Chelsea's side once the full story came out. Meanwhile, I was quietly building something better. That promotion I'd turned down 2 years earlier, a similar opportunity came up about 4 months after the breakup, and this time I jumped on it. Team leader position with a $15K raise, bringing my salary up to an even $100K. The extra responsibility felt good. I was managing a crew of 8 guys on a major mixed-use development project, the kind of high-profile work that could really advance my career. I also started attending a church that Corey had been going to for years, not because I was having some spiritual crisis, but because they had an active volunteer program that got me out of my apartment on weekends. That's where I met Melissa, a 3rd-grade teacher who coordinated their community outreach programs. She was helping organize a habitat build, and I volunteered my construction expertise. Melissa was everything Chelsea wasn't: genuine, down-to-earth, actually interested in my work instead of treating it like some embarrassing blue-collar career. She asked thoughtful questions about project management and seemed genuinely impressed that I was running teams on multi-million-dollar builds. We started grabbing coffee after volunteer events, then actual dates. No games, no drama, just 2 adults who enjoyed each other's company and shared similar values about work, family, and treating people with respect. The whole situation came full circle about 6 months after the wedding, at our mutual friend's birthday party. I'd almost skipped it since I knew there was a chance Chelsea might show up, but Melissa encouraged me to go. "You shouldn't avoid your friends because of one person," she said. And she was right. I walked into the bar with Melissa on my arm, both of us laughing about something she'd said in the car, and immediately spotted Chelsea across the room. She looked rough, hair that needed professional attention, clothes that didn't quite fit right anymore, that desperate look of someone who's been struggling. She was clearly crashing the party since she hadn't been invited, but our friend group was too polite to kick her out. She spotted me within minutes, her eyes widening when she saw Melissa. During a lull in conversation, she approached us with this shaky confidence, like she'd been rehearsing what to say. "Danny, hey," she said, completely ignoring Melissa. "Can we talk privately for just a minute?" I kept my arm around Melissa and shook my head calmly. "No need, Chelsea. Hope you're doing well." But she pressed on, desperation bleeding through her attempted composure. "Please, I've been a complete mess since that night. Todd was awful to me. He used me for business contacts and then threw me away like garbage. I lost my job, had to move back in with my parents. I realize what I had with you now. I was stupid and selfish, and I took you for granted. Can we start over? Can we try again?" The role reversal was almost poetic. Her admitting the betrayal, confessing that Todd had exploited her exactly the way I'd suspected he would, but still somehow making it about her own victimhood. I stayed completely calm, my voice even, and unbothered. "You made your priorities crystal clear that night, Chelsea. Todd fit better with your family, remember? Well, I found someone who actually values what I bring to a relationship. You're not part of that equation anymore." She flushed red, glancing between me and Melissa. The power dynamics completely flipped from 3 years of her having the upper hand. "But I love you, Danny. Doesn't that count for anything after everything we built together?" I met her eyes with complete indifference, feeling absolutely nothing. "It means you learned an important lesson about consequences. I'd focus on your own life now." She stammered something about second chances and how people deserve forgiveness, but when it became obvious I wasn't budging, she left early. I didn't think about her at all after that conversation. Spent the rest of the night dancing with Melissa, catching up with friends I'd reconnected with, feeling completely at peace with my choices. It's been 8 months now since that wedding disaster, and looking back, it feels like ancient history. Last I heard through the grapevine, Chelsea's still single, still living with her parents, working that entry-level job, and trying to rebuild relationships with family members who lost respect for her. Todd moved on to exploit some other woman's social circle. Apparently his real estate agency dropped him after multiple client complaints about his pushy tactics. Me? The promotion's going great. Melissa and I are planning a camping trip to Montana this summer, and I've never been more certain about what I want in a relationship. Someone who sees my stability as an asset, not a liability. Someone who includes me instead of replacing me. That wedding betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. I walked away with my dignity intact, and karma handled the rest perfectly. What do you think, Reddit? Did I handle it right?